lot has changed in fantasy football in 1 week. Starting off, I'm going to be talking about QBs to add on the waiver wire. Not many quarterbacks had great weeks in week one, but there are two guys that I am targeting. First, I'm targeting Baker Mayfield. He's only 35% rostered on Yahoo. He had four passing touchdowns Sunday, which was good for nearly 30 fantasy points. Baker will have his ups and downs, but he is a very good quarterback who should have more monster weeks like this one. Next, I have Russell Wilson. The Steelers' defense looked incredible in week one, and they have quite a few weapons on offense. With George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth at his disposal, Wilson should be efficient in the offense, and he also has some decent rushing upside even in his age 35 season.
I'm here with your wide receiver waiver wire pickups after week one. First up is somebody who I was surprised to see was available in 83% of the leagues because I have him in over half my leagues, and in the other leagues I don't have him. He's drafted. That's Rashad Bateman of the Ravens. He had 5 targets, but he was on field for 83% of their offensive snaps. Next up, Romeo Doubs of the Packers. I mean, this guy is available in almost half the leagues at 47% available, and this is a wide receiver one we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Scoop him up, put him on your bench, even if you don't need him right now. Also looking at Wan'Dale Robinson of the Giants. He had 12 targets. He is their clear-cut wide receiver number 2 on that team, and he's 90% available. Getting deeper, we're looking at like Greg Dortch of the Cardinals. He had 8 targets, even with Marvin Harrison Jr. coming into town, and Devon Vele of the Broncos, 8 targets, 8 catches. Keep an eye out for those guys. Get them before they remain hot.
Tank Bigsby is a running back that fantasy managers should be adding after an impressive Week 1 performance. He remains unowned in 95% of Yahoo leagues and seems primed for a bigger role in the Jaguars' offense in his second season. In Week 1, Bigsby averaged over 6 yards per carry on 12 rushing attempts, and even more promising is that Bigsby had the same amount of carries as starter Travis Etienne with 12. It seems like this will be a 50-50 timeshare moving forward, and Bigsby would be a good guy to add to your roster if you need more help at running back. And Alexander Madison shined in week one as a pass catching back. Overall, Madison saw 6 targets, of which he caught 4, and he also added 5 rushes for a total of 9 touches on the day. I expect Madison to continue to be featured on passing downs throughout the season, and he could have some promise as a flex in full point reception leagues.
Okay, everyone, jumping into a few tight ends that you should look to add off the waiver wire. First up, probably the number one priority in all fantasy football, Isaiah Likely, Baltimore Ravens. It looked like a changing of the guard. He actually looked like the best receiving option on the Ravens, and maybe Mark Andrews, just his injuries and age have caught up to him. So I would definitely add Likely in all formats, even if you have a top 10 wide receiver or tight end. But definitely you should not leave him out there in your league. Next, Tucker Kraft on the Green Bay Packers. If you watch, I know Musgrave was drafted higher, but Kraft, last few games of last season and starting this one, he's the clear top option. Next, Foster Monroe, New Orleans Saints. Saints could finally have a settled tight end, so definitely something to keep an eye on. And finally, in deep leagues, Tyler Conklin, Jets, because Aaron Rodgers knows how to use a tight end. Okay, let's get into what we got right and what we got wrong. We just want to always be transparent with you guys. And this year we're going to start where we keep a batting average so we get bragging rights amongst the team who has done best. All right, Jordan's up first. He had quarterbacks. What he got right. He said to start CJ Stroud. He said sit Dak, Caleb Williams, Aaron Rodgers, and his boy Purdy. He got all those right. What he is wrong about is Jared Goff. So far for the season, he is 5-1 with an 833 batting average. Jacob, he the wide receivers. What he got right. He said to start Jamison Williams and Cooper Cup. He said to sit Ridley and Ayuk. So those were correct calls by him. The things he got wrong was he said to start Cooper, that's his boy in his team. He also said to start the rookie on the Bengals, uh, Iloves. Sorry, I probably butchered it. And he said to sit Tyler Lockett, and that was a mistake. So Jacob starts off 4-3 for a 571 batting average. Lucas, he had running backs, okay? He got right. He said to start Ramondre and Walker. He said sit Harris and Swift. things he got wrong. He said to start Gus the Bus and to sit Montgomery. So he starts off 4-2 with a 667 batting average. And finally, me, I did tight ends and defenses. Things I got right. I said to start the Seattle D, and I said to sit Njoku and Kittle. That's all I got right was those three. Things I got wrong: start McBride, start Kincaid, start Cole Kmet, start the Bengals D. I mean, those are all things I know a lot of people started, but I got them wrong. Told you to, and I said to sit Bowers, and he did pretty well. So I apologize for all that. I'll try to do better. I start 3-5 for a 375 batting average. All right, we'll keep doing this every week, and we'll let you know what we got right and wrong, and so you can try to follow the right guys on our team and who you like best.
Excuse me, sir. Would you like another hot take?
Yeah, definitely. Keep them coming.
Few hot takes for you this week. First, the Baltimore Ravens and the Atlanta Falcons will not make the playoffs if they do not improve their O line. Back there, Kirk Cousins, he might just be a statue, and that might be his undoing, but he was getting destroyed. TJ Watt, if it wasn't for the penalties taking away 3 strip sacks, I mean, he's just destroying them. Next, Baltimore, same idea. Henry really couldn't get going, and those two teams just need to find a way to get their O line better. Next, the Cowboys will regret paying Dak $60 million a year. What I mean by that, you still have to pay Parson, so it's going to be a stars and scrubs. And as I saw with my Packers, you really just can't win a Super Bowl with that kind of build. Finally, the Yankees. Yes, we will make the World Series for the first time since 2009. I don't know if we're going to win it, but we will be in the World Series. We look like the best in the AL.
Good hot takes, Josh. I'm going to piggyback off of one of yours. Yes, I do think the Yankees are in fact going to be in the World Series. They're going to come up against a Dodgers team who has it all. I mean, but we've also been coming into MLB playoffs the last few years saying the same thing about the Dodgers, and outside of 2020 when they won it all, it's been first round eliminations in 2019, in 2021, and in 2023. They won over 100 games, which they'll be flirting with this year on the 100 win mark or not. They've been bounced in the first round of those years, so they're finally going to get over the hump. I know it's kind of weird calling it a hump, seeing as they just won in 2020, but it has become a hump because they have been failing 3 out of their last 4 times. They finally get there. They're going to do it. Shohei Ohtani, your NL MVP, also going to be your World Series MVP. What you got for us, Jacob?
Thanks, Jordan. And my hot take for the week is that the Ravens will win the Super Bowl. The Ravens played a really good game in week one, falling just short of the Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar Jackson faced a lot of undeserved criticism after the game. Jackson played phenomenal despite a poor pass blocking performance from his offensive line, but I don't think that'll be as big of a problem going forward, as the Ravens shouldn't need to pass as much in the rest of their games, so they should be able to jump out to an early lead and play their brand of power running football. Expect Derrick Henry to be more involved as the season goes on, so I would be targeting him in trades in fantasy, especially redraft leagues. If people give up on him after 1 week, I think that would be short sighted. Their defense also looked really good, minus a broken coverage against the Chiefs, and I think they will only get better as the season goes on.
While it's certainly not the boldest hot take, I do like the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl again this year. And the Chiefs will be the first team in the Super Bowl era to complete a three-peat. But if anyone could accomplish this, I think it is Patrick Mahomes. And the reason I like Mahomes to become the first quarterback to accomplish this feat is that the weapons around him this season are vastly improved. In week one, we saw how nicely Xavier Worthy is going to fit into their offense as he scored 2 touchdowns in his first career game. And when Hollywood Brown returns from injury in a few weeks, this offense will feature more team speed than just about anybody else in the NFL. And while there's a lot of competition in the AFC this season, I don't think it would be wise to bet against Mahomes or Andy Reid to make history.
This is a poker hand I played at TCH Social in Austin, Texas. In this hand, we were playing 1-2-5. Action folded to me in the hijack, and I opened at $20 with King 8 of clubs. The cutoff is now 3 bets to 75, and he has been ISOing me a lot. This is like the third time he's 3 bet me in the first 30 minutes that I've sat down. I get the feeling that he's playing at me right here. Action folds back to me, and since I think this guy is messing with me, trying to punk me, I decided to go for a rare 4 bet all in here for 235. I think this is a good candidate to do it with here since I have a king, because that means he'll have less combos of ace king and pocket kings, which would call my 4 bet, and he has more hands that will fold here. So when he does make the snap fold, I show him to let him know that we got one through, and he says, "Oh, that was way better than what I had." Sometimes you have to make a stand. This is a poker hand I played at Shuffle 512 in Austin, Texas. We were playing 1-2, seven handed, and I raised under the gun to $15 with ace deuce of diamonds. The hijack and cutoff make the call, and we go to a flop, which comes 10 of diamonds, 4 of hearts, deuce of spades. I check since I have showdown value, and the hijack takes a stab for $20. This guy is a very loose player who is stabbing with a lot of air. He's playing 90% of hands, so I should still be ahead of him a lot of the time. The cutoff calls, and I make the call as well since I have a pair and a backdoor nut straight and flush draw. The turn comes the ace of hearts, so we make aces up. I still check and flow, and now the hijack checks, and the cutoff bets for 25. Versus this sizing, I don't think he will have too many monsters, though he could have aces up sometimes. It seems like he just has a lot of weak ace X here. So I check raise right away to 125, and I should be ahead of his range, and he probably isn't going to fold with just an ace. So the hijack does fold and the cutoff does make the call. The river comes the deuce of clubs. We make a boat. I go all in for about 260. I choose to go all in because I can't be afraid to make big bets with the nuts, and he probably isn't folding an ace now that the board pairs. It's less likely that I have a set, so he'll get curious and call a lot. He does make the snap call, and we are good versus ace 4, so we did get lucky on the river, but I'll take it.
Okay, playing 1-2 at Mandalay Bay, the Iron Gun, who had been a pretty tight end, could tell he is a local, raised to $15. Two players call, and I look down at Ace Queen of Diamonds. I debate raising, but again, with this player type early position, I just flat, and we go 4 ways to a flop. The flop is the Ace of Hearts, the 7 of Spades, and the 6 of Diamonds. Iron Gun now bets 25, and it folds to me, and I make the call. The turn is a 6 of hearts. Earn Gun now bets $45. Now I debate whether I should fold. I start thinking, does he really have ace king here? But again, I decide just to flat and call with such a strong hand. The river is a 3 of hearts. Earn Gun bets 75. And I literally say, I can't fold with making the call on the turn with a blank on the river. So I call. And of course, they have ace king to win and scoop. And I tap the table and say, hey, I paid you off every street, so nice hand to them. Okay, still playing 1-2 at Mandalay Bay, and it limps to me, and I'm in the cutoff, and I pocket fives, and I raise to $13. We get 4 callers, so let's go to the flop. The flop is the ace of diamonds, the 5 of hearts, and the 5 of clubs. Checks to me, and I figure with an ace and straight draws out there, I can see bet, so I make it 27, and 2 people call, and now the low jack raises to 100. I want to keep the others in, so I just flat and an iron gun +1 calls as well. The turn is the 7 of hearts. Checks to the low jack, who now bets 100. And now I'm debating folding. I only have 178, but I figure with the money in the pot and everything, I do go all in. And the iron gun +1 goes all in for less, and the low jack calls. And I hate it because I know someone has a straight. Luckily, the river bails us out, and we get the 7 of spades. Gun +1 had ace 4 spades for 2 pair, and the low jack had 2-3 offsuit, and they had the straight, and we scoop with our boat. So their loose kind of play, flopped them a monster, and I just got lucky on the river.
soccer hooligans.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Added Minutes. Now, I know everybody's hopped up on the NFL Week 1 with your fantasy football, your NFL pick'em, your survival leagues, and just your straight-up fantasy news. But we can't forget about soccer. At least I can't. And even on an international break, I got to bring you guys the happenings going on around the world. I'll make it quick, I promise. We'll jump into it. San Marino. Yeah, that's San Marino. San Marino with only 33,000 people total population. The San Marino completely surrounded by Italy. The San Marino that's ranked 210 out of 210 possible footballing nations. They got their first victory last week in 20 years. But this is really their first meaningful victory as it came in the UEFA Nations League. The nice thing about the UEFA Nations League is even smaller nations like San Marino, like Liechtenstein, who they just beat 1-0 last week, are able to have these more competitive matches because, let's face it, San Marino, Liechtenstein, they are in UEFA qualifying for World Cup and for Euros and everything like that. So the deck's kind of stacked against them when you're going up against Italy, England, Germany, Spain, Portugal, nations like that just have these footballing bloodlines. And not to say San Marino doesn't have a footballing bloodline, but like I said, they only have 33,000 people, so it's hard to compete when that's the pool that you're pulling from. So anyways, they last won in 2004. That was a friendly, and they were able to win that one also against Liechtenstein. So Liechtenstein, like I said, also a small nation. Regardless, it is wonderful for San Marino. It's amazing that they were able to finally make this happen in a competitive match, and we will see where they can go from here. Not expecting much, but it's fun when the Minnows win. Moving on, Ronaldo scored his 900th goal. You heard that right, 900th goal during a 2-1 win over Croatia. He's the first man to score 900 goals in official matches, leading the way. In second, we have Messi at 842 and Pele at 765 goals. Quickly onto the U.S. Open. We had Americans in each final, and if you remember my hot takes, I said that a woman USA representative would win the women's, and Pegula made it. She's number 6 ranked in the world against Belarus number 2, Sabalenka. Sabalenka won in straight sets, but it was a very contested match. Sabalenka won 7-5, 7-5. On the men's side, we had another USA player make it to the finals as Fritz was going up against the men's number 1, Yannick Sinner of Italy. That didn't go so well. Sinner wins in straight sets, 6-3, 6-4, 7-5. That's all we got for you guys this week. Hope you guys are enjoying the NFL.
One guy who you should consider adding to your fantasy baseball roster this week is Victor Robles of the Seattle Mariners. Robles is an exciting outfielder who is going to add steals and runs to your lineup. And over the past 2 weeks, he's the number 19 player in all of fantasy baseball. And I like him to stay hot down the stretch. Another batter to consider adding is Spencer Horwitz of the Toronto Blue Jays. Horwitz offers positional flexibility as he's able to play both first and second base for your team, and he can help you plug either gap in your lineup. Over the last 2 weeks, he has hit 4 home runs and batted for a .385 average. He's been pretty consistent all season long, as evidenced by his .274 batting average this year, and I think he would be a good guy to have on your roster during a playoff run, since he has gotten hot at the right time.
All right, thank you all so much for watching to the end. We really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, please take a second to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Share if you really love us. All right, this Sunday at 11 a.m., Jordan and I will be at Timothy O'Toole's Pub in Gurnee, Illinois. That's just north of Chicago. Come up, hang out, get some DGL merch that we'll be giving away for free. All right, we're going to be doing a live stream for fantasy football where we're going to be talking about starts and sits that we like and teams and matchups that we think will win. All right, come again, get some free DGL gear, talk all things sports with us. Check out our merch page if you haven't, and we hope you guys have a great week.